Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Well, today join me for my 2 interviews. We have an author who's going to share with us her book. It's a fictional account of a translator that goes from Greenland to Provence, France, and she's going to share with us some info on the culture in Greenland and the foods they eat and traveling throughout Greenland. She's going to share that with us this week, and next week we'll be sharing some info from Provence, France also. And my other guest is a professional organizer, and she's going to help us declutter from winter to spring. But I did want to bring to everyone's attention that May 21st is National Strawberries and Cream Day. And did you know that strawberries have ancient origins? Strawberries date back to the Roman Empire, where they were believed to have medicinal properties, treating everything from fevers to bad breath. Strawberries are a royal favorite, or actually strawberries and cream is a royal favorite. The combination of strawberries and cream is said to have been introduced by Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, who was a close confidant of King Henry VIII. At a royal banquet, he introduced this special dessert, strawberries and cream. And it actually became a Wimbledon tradition. Strawberries and cream became an iconic snack at the Wimbledon tennis tournament, and it was possibly introduced by King George V. May is also National Strawberry Month, making it the perfect time to enjoy this classic treat when strawberries are at their freshest. Strawberries are low in calories, packed with vitamin C, fiber, and potassium, so it really makes them a nutritional indulgence, a really healthy indulgence. And if you go to my blog at marialiberati.com, you will find a delicious recipe for a strawberry risotto, which makes an interesting combination of strawberries in risotto with Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. It's really yummy. That's at marialiberati.com. Stay with me for our special interviews. And I just want to remind you that, Mother's Day has come and gone, but we did have some great Mother's Day guides with some great suggested products. So if you didn't get a chance to check those out, please check out the Mother's Day guides at the marialiberati.show.com. You'll probably get to discover some interesting products. And one product I want to bring to your attention is from Moen. It's the Verso shower head. It's a rain shower. So you feel like you're in a rain shower. It's a beautiful shower. And check it out. It's the Verso shower head by Moen, and all of the other products that are on our Mother's Day guides. I believe there's 4 of them there. Check it out. Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with a Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, Art of Living Prima Media.com. And my special guest today is Diane Greenhalgh, and she is a professional organizer with Tiny to the Max. She's going to help us with some tips, which I think we all need, decluttering tips going from winter to spring. Diane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, yes, I know everyone, once the warm weather hits, everybody's out there looking for ways to refresh, your living spaces. And of course, we need to declutter from winter. So, what are some tips you can give us about doing that?
Sure. So decluttering, as you're already transitioning is such a great opportunity. When people think of decluttering and spring cleaning, some people do have the energy to do the entire house. But what I'm going to talk about today are some easy things. Most people are already transitioning out their winter things for more warm weather things. And so you're touching them and moving them anyways. You might as well take the opportunity to get rid of the stuff you're not using that don't help you anymore.
Uh-huh.
So as you go through things, get rid of anything that you haven't used,
Mhm.
anything you that is worn or torn. And so some areas that you can do that in are as you put away your winter guard yard tools and snow blowers. Go through them and make sure that they work. And most people with yard tools, they keep all the old stuff, even though they've got new stuff. It's a good opportunity to get rid of those old things that you haven't used in years. It's just taking up room. Um,
Exactly.
and then as you're getting up the gardening tools and all the stuff for spring,
Mhm.
make sure that they are things that you use, they still work. Same thing with, I know my mother, she switches out decorations for every season.
Uh-huh.
My dad helped her bring down all the spring decorations. Well,
Uh-huh.
as she's putting my winter, I recommend that, you get rid of the things that you didn't use that stayed in the box for the whole season. So
Right.
usually we all like take out all the things that we just put up all the things that we love and things stay in the box that we aren't as crazy about. So
Exactly.
good opportunity to do that. And then also sport type stuff. You put away your skis and all your hockey skates, make sure they still work, make sure they're dry and clean before you put them away. Um, and just get rid of all the old stuff.
Mhm.
Um, where and also it's one of those areas where we all tend to have things that we don't use, but really aspire to think, oh, I'm going to do that someday. I'm going to finally do it. Um, or we're getting along in years and maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe it's not quite so safe anymore. Maybe you
Right.
shouldn't be getting up on those skis anymore. Take the opportunity to think about those things and get rid of those. And then everybody usually goes through their clothes and switches them out. And for clothes, one of the rule of thumb is for adults
Uh-huh.
um, to, to only keep things as far as sizes, um, one size larger, one size smaller than what you currently are.
Uh-huh.
As someone who's short and has odd sizes. The caveat with that is if you have something that's particularly special and you have a particularly difficult size, a couple of pieces I can see, holding on to. Like I have a dress in my box, like it's a couple sizes too small, but
Uh-huh.
if I ever get that size, I will regret not having it. So,
Right, right.
for the most part, get rid of things that not only are worn and torn and don't fit, but also like get rid of the things that don't flatter you anymore.
Right.
Like don't all those things are like way too comfy and you love them and you promise you never wear them out, but you always do. Take an opportunity to get them out of the house so you never wear them. You're not tempted, or just put it in the drawer to wear to bed. Like I have a t-shirt that I have from a concert that I love, but it got a hole in it. So I wear it to bed so I can still enjoy the memory, but I don't wear it out anymore.
Right.
Sure. And then another great opportunity for, another thing I want to mention for clothes. It is a great time to donate all those special occasion wear outfits you never wear, or get them hemmed up to be shorter and donate them to those free prom stores. Prom
Yes.
is coming up, and there are a lot of girls out there who can't fit into, who can't afford to get prom dresses. I know that a lot of local places do it, but there's a national chain called Becca's Closet
Huh?
who does that. I don't think they're located everywhere, but it's something all over. Um,
Right. That's
Another opportunity for decluttering in spring is it's great weather to declutter those spaces that don't have air conditioning or heat.
uh-huh.
Think your garage, your basement, your attic, storage unit if you have one. Don't recommend that. Storage unit, or your car. A lot of people forget to declutter their car, and
Uh,
um, that's probably one of the places that we all gather clutter on a regular basis. So,
exactly.
and in those spaces, one of the best tips is to, for all the like the store the containers that you put things in, number
Right.
one, label them so you know what's in them. So
Huh?
you're not like searching around and you don't forget and you buy it again and you spend extra money. But also get shelves. If you have piles of heavy bins, you're not going to want to lift them and go through them. And it's so much easier if you have shelves and you can access things. And also, don't store things like important papers, keepsakes in those things, in places that don't have central air,
Uh-huh.
because you don't want them to get ruined.
Uh-huh.
Also, think about what they're sitting under. Like, you wouldn't want to store them underneath a bathroom that could
Uh-huh.
possibly leak on top of them. But
Oh,
also,
yes.
use storage totes that are as waterproof as possible,
Exactly.
for all things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So, and then once you've gotten rid of it, well, all you've decided what you've gotten rid of, get it out of the house as quick as possible. A lot of people have that pile to go to Goodwill and just never goes anywhere for months or years. And,
Exactly.
I've done that too. One of the best ways to get over that hump is there are some national chains who actually come and pick up. They'll
Yes.
schedule a pickup. You might have to wait a couple weeks or even a month, but they come and pick up, and even some large items. I know Salvation Army comes pick up bulk items. Habitat for Humanity, Restore, they pick up big items.
Mhm.
Other places, there's a number of them, but like Green Drop, uh, American Veterans Thrift Shops, Vietnam Veterans of America. There's a
Mhm.
number of them. I have a freebie on my site that lists about 10 natural cherries that pick up. You can check that out. But yeah, get it out of the house as quick as possible, and donate with dignity as well. Is when you think about what you donate versus what you put in the trash,
Mhm.
just think about respecting that the person on the other end deserves something of value. You don't want to donate things that are worn, torn,
Right.
stained, everything. But Goodwill does actually take like rags and clothes that aren't in good shape, because I think I think the reason why they take it is that I think they sell them as rags.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so you can do that with Goodwill, but for the most part, don't donate things. Put it in the trash or find a crafting
Right.
that can
Way to
use.
repurpose
Yeah,
if you have some.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But the best advice is to just get it out of the house as quick as possible. And
exactly.
as far as recycling, a tip for recycling is there's only certain things that they'll take at the curbside,
Uh-huh.
but if you go to the actual local government trash center, they
Uh-huh.
usually take other recycling things. And in fact, some more places, including where I live now, are starting to do textile recycling. So you could donate your, well, you could recycle your clothes, your linens,
Uh-huh.
sort of thing.
Oh,
So,
that's great. That's
yeah.
great. Yeah. All good advice for decluttering. We're almost out of time. Any last minute tips? Those are all great tips because I like those tips because they're simple things. Usually if we go into something
Yeah.
major, it's like then somebody, most people are going to say, oh, I don't have the time to do that. But if you can start with this simple tips, it might lead you to do more and more, right? But anyway, yes.
Yeah.
It all,
Yeah, well, for these things, you're already moving them, you're tucking them already. Instead of
right.
putting them, taking time to store them in the closet, just store them in the bin and send them off to donate. But I think to get you motivated, there is research that shows like clutter causes stress. Like
Mhm.
it lowers your stress to get rid of all those things. If you have too much, it can get in the way of you living your life. There's a study that showed like the average American house has like 300,000 items in their house.
Oh my goodness.
Most people can't use the garage for what it's meant for, a car. So,
Right.
a couple years ago, I went through our garage with my partner and I was so excited. Number one, we got rid of the broken toilet that was sitting there for some reason that my partner put there. But also, like, we can now fit the normal size garbage bins in there, and I don't have to
Okay.
drag the recycling like bin that's falling apart with duct tape. I actually have a big rolling thing that I can pull out easily. It just, oftentimes when you're decluttering, you have the space for things and it makes your life so much easier. So it's worth the time, especially since you're already doing it anyways.
It
So
does. That's great. All great tips. Diane Greenhouse, tiny to the max. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks.
thanks for having me.
Join me on a mouth-watering journey through Italy with my Gourmand World Award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, which brings you authentic recipes, heartwarming stories, and a dash of Mediterranean magic. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a beginner, these books will awaken your inner food artist. Get ready to say ciao to delicious adventures. And you can find the Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at Amazon.com on Kindle and on marialiberotti.com and the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com.
And my special guest today is Elizabeth Birkelund, and she's an author. She's the author of this really interesting book called Northern Light in Provence, and it takes us from Greenland all the way into Provence, which I think is just amazing. So really very unique. But she's going to tell us all about that. And Greenland has been in the news, so we want to learn a little bit about Greenland. A lot of people don't know about it. So today we're going to do a lot on Greenland customs and food and things like that. And she'll be back next week to talk more about Provence. But anyway, she's going to be talking about the book. Elizabeth, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Maria. Look,
So you said the paperback version of A Northern Light in Provence releases today.
yes, today is the release date, so very exciting. A year after the
Yes,
hardcover.
that is exciting. So it's a fictional story. Is it based on something, some kind of
It,
nonfiction, or no, it's just all fiction?
it is all fiction. Just came out of this noggin here,
Yes.
and yeah, an
And
exploration of Greenland and a love of Provence.
so how did you get the idea? I always like to know how people get the idea for what they're creating. Where have you visited? It sounds like you have been to Greenland.
Yes, I did go to Greenland, and I have been many times to Provence. But the Greenland thing was, I had not been to Greenland before I had written the first draft. So I
Uh-huh.
wrote the draft without going to Greenland, and The idea came out of a desire to know more about the world of a translator, because I am fascinated by translations and how close they are to the original and how far astray they go. And I wanted to have, because I'm a Francophile, I wanted to have I knew my translator would be translating into French texts, and I wanted the contrast to be uh, a very strong contrast. So I wanted her to come from a northern country, and so I chose Greenland because I have some Danish heritage, and one of my family names is Rasmussen, and Rasmussen was a big explorer, a very famous explorer in
Uh-huh.
Greenland. And
Ah, that's interesting.
yeah, so I threw the story into Greenland without having gone. And then when my editor said, how interesting, how cool that you went to Greenland. And I said, well, I haven't been. And she said, well, you're going. And I said, would you like to go with me? And she said, sure. So my
There you
editor and
go.
I went together.
Oh, that's wonderful. Really interesting. So tell us a little bit about Greenland, because not a lot of people, including myself, really don't know a whole lot about it. Like, so is English the primary language there?
Actually, it's the in 2009, Greenlandic became the official language. So most everyone speaks, especially on the west coast, which is where most people live.
Hmm.
Most everyone speaks Greenlandic from school, and then they also speak Danish, and then they also speak English. So most people are trilingual. However, it's mostly Greenlandic and Danish.
Okay. Wow. And any like, can you tell us about some of the customs there? Anything interesting, foods that they eat there, dishes, things like that?
Sure. Yes. Well, we had such a wonderful exploration, and the thing that people should know is that currently you can only get to Greenland through Copenhagen or Iceland. So
Oh,
you have to
wow.
fly there, and then you fly, take another flight. But currently they are arranging for a direct flight from, I think it's from JFK, direct to
To
Ilu,
Greenland.
which is where we ended up going because it's the capital of the icebergs, and it's really gorgeous. And when
What's
you
the name of the town? It just kind of broke off when you said that.
Ilulissat, and I don't know if I'm saying, but it's Ililussat, and it's the capital of the icebergs. It's not the capital of Greenland. The capital of Greenland is Nuuk, which is farther south, which is
Uh-huh.
Nuuk.
Uh-huh.
Ilulissat is the most visually stunning place I've ever been in my life. I mean, it's in, and what's amazing is when you do take the flight over and you go over the ice mass. Well, we were coming from Copenhagen, so we flew over the ice mass, which makes up 80% of Greenland, this ice mass, and then you arrive, and what's so stunning is the icebergs that are just these massive sculptural works of nature's art that are in the Arctic. Well, it's the Bay of Disco, which is where right outside of Ilulissat. And what's amazing is what we did is we took the iceberg safari, and then you take the whale safari. So the And if you take the iceberg safari, which is, we were only one of few tourists, actually, not many
Huh.
people. Uh, you see at sunset the way the sun hits these icebergs and makes them into these beautiful golden sculptures. I mean, the icebergs were just jaw-droppingly unusual, vast nature that you don't see nature so
Vivid.
so raw and so vivid. It was really the nature was the most incredible part of that trip, just being there. And so that's why they are building this new airport, and it's going to be much easier. But
It'll be direct.
I would recommend people to go sooner rather than later, because it took us a long time because we had to go to Copenhagen and then fly over. But apparently the flight is only going to be 4 hours. So
Oh,
it will be an ideal weekend spot. But
right.
I would say mostly to go in the summer.
Mhm.
Because
So what's the weather like there? I'm sure winters are probably brutal. Is that correct?
winters are brutal and they're also dark. So
Ah,
in this town, Ilulissat, that's really a town. There are a you know, 24 hours of darkness at December 21st. So farther south, you get 4 hours of darkness. But so we went in August, and in
hmm.
August, it was 41 degrees. In the winter, it can go, below 20 degrees, and it's just very, very cold in the winter and brutal winds, and not the time to go, and not the
So
time
in
to.
August it was 41 degrees. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Wow.
We brought a lot of layers because sometimes it can get a little warmer than that, but it's it was generally in the 40s when we were there, but not high 40s.
Uh-huh.
So
Huh.
that was summer. That was summer.
Wow, that's very interesting. So if people want to go there now, excuse me, you're saying you have to fly in either from Copenhagen or from Iceland. Yes, yes, yes.
Reykjavik.
And how long is the flight about from Copenhagen or Iceland? Is it about the same?
Yeah, I think it's closer from Iceland, but it's 3 hours from Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. So 3 hours or a little less if you're going from Reykjavik in Iceland. Reykjavik. Yes. Oh, that's really interesting. And is it densely populated?
The 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 whole of Greenland is 56,000 people.
Oh,
So
so it's not.
it's not. And the town of Ilulissat, I have to double check that again, but is 1,000. I think it's 1,000 something.
Oh,
But where we went to Ilulissat, and we also went to the little settlement where I decided that my character would live.
uh-huh.
She was born in Ilulissat, but she actually lived in this little settlement of 30 people who live there, called Oquatsat. And
Uh-huh.
my editor and I took the ferry up to Oquatsat. There are only 93 miles of roads in this whole of Greenland, the largest island in the world, but only 56 are paved.
Oh,
So,
all right.
and the reason for that is that on the west coast, which is the most agreeable for living, it's
Uh-huh.
the warmest, given that the eastern coast is much colder. There are so many little finger peninsulas that it's hard to make roads going back and forth. It's much faster to have a boat that goes along the coast and stops in various spots, or they're the sled dogs, or ATVs locally, but really, or planes,
Hmm.
but really no driving. Like people don't, and that was an issue with my book, that I had one without having gone to Greenland. I had one part of the book where there was an emergency vehicle, and there were driveways, and there were cars, and my editor and I realized, oh my goodness, there are no streets here. There are no
My
you know
goodness.
roads to get from one place. You just walk on the grass, or the rocks, or the ice in the winter, or the snow. And yeah, so it's walking or dog sledding is still a very
Big
good
thing.
way to get around in the winter. And there are dogs that stay outside of these communities in they're chained to rocks, and then they have little huts. The dogs have little huts that they stay in, but they're very they're very apparent, because they every evening at about dusk they start to howl, and they howl for their dinner. And so you hear this howling at dusk.
Wow.
So it's a really big part of life. And if you want to get places, you always see these dogs.
Uh-huh.
And they're not particularly pet-friendly dogs. I mean, they're really serious, professional. And these are dogs that are bred to lead sleds. And
Right.
they're not, you're not allowed to bring a dog onto the island of Greenland because they want to keep the Greenlandic dog pure and
Uh-huh.
really bred to do the job that is really necessary.
Huh.
And
That's interesting.
they're also the ones that, if you're crossing an ice and they can tell if there's a thin ice versus going on an ATV or some other vehicle,
Right.
the dog can sense the thin ice and will stop
Oh, wow.
according to what those.
What they say, yes. So also, what is there any like local foods or traditional foods or dishes that are local to Greenland?
Yes, there's one in particular. It's
Uh-huh.
called Kalit Kagit, and
Uh-huh.
it's what they serve. It's their national dessert, and it's what
Uh-huh.
they if you go to a kafamik. So I don't know if you've ever heard of a kafamik.
No.
A kafamik is like a coffee, it's an social institution in Greenland, and it's like a coffee hour. And it is to celebrate birthdays, births, first days of school, confirmations. Really, there's always going to be a kafamik planned in your community because there's so many of these little celebrations, and it's a community celebration. So the door is open of the host who's hosting it, and people, as many as 50 people in the community, or how many in the community, will stop in
Uh-huh.
and have this cake, this kalalit kagiat, which is like a sweet bread, almost like a raisin bread, and with whipped cream and berries, and then served with a cup of flaming, they call it, they call it flaming coffee because it's coffee with Kahlua or it's got brandy or all kinds of good liquors in it, and whipped
Right,
cream.
right.
Set it on fire, and then it's a flaming
Coffee.
coffee. And it's
Just
very strong coffee. But anyway, so that is a real Greenlandic tradition, and,
uh-huh.
and one that is practiced in almost all the communities, even the big city, Nuuk. They celebrate that. And I guess there's also a few other smaller, there's the matak, which is raw whale skin and blubber
Oh my
that's
gosh.
eaten as a snack. And then there's this arthigik, which is a bowhead whale, smoked whale meat. But when
Uh-huh.
my sister and I, we had lunch at this place called the H8, and it was a restaurant. Well, it was a restaurant, but with only a few tables. And it was named H8 because that's what the roof had on it during World War II, when the Americans they labeled some of the rooftops to determine as a navigation signal to where the cities were. And so
Oh,
they labeled, and so they kept the H8 on the rooftop
yes.
of this community. But when we went in, there was no menu. We just sat down, and they served us a plate of um, three meats, and one was musk ox, one was seal, and one was whale, and they were smoked.
Uh-huh.
I had the Greenlandic beer, but
Uh-huh.
this might be just the appetizer, but
Uh-huh.
that was
That
our
was
lunch.
your dinner. Uh-huh.
And then we did see, while we were sitting there out the window, we did see a seal being brought in that had been caught. And so very fresh, let's just say.
Yes, yes.
So the real fresh marine life, the seals, the narwhals, and our halibut was definitely the local
Specialty.
specialty. Halibut, maybe not a specialty because it was everywhere.
Right. It's a local.
It's a
Yep. That's what
local.
they have there.
And then the berries, when we were there in the summer, there's the crowberry, which is kind of a very small, a little bitter
Right.
very better cooked. And they use that a lot. And then reindeer,
Uh-huh.
and then, oh yeah, the other very common thing to have most of the year is called suicide, and that's in my book actually. And that's a soup made with seal, whale meat, potatoes, and onions. So very hearty.
Gosh, really hearty soup. So we're almost out of time, but is there a traditional breakfast that they eat there? What do they eat for breakfast?
Well, very much coffee, very coffee. Hot coffee is key, but they have I would say the bread, the cafe make bread,
Uh-huh.
um, and the coffee, but or Danishes because they are, the autonomous territory, but they are in the kingdom of Denmark. So,
Yes,
so
exactly.
the Danish culture definitely plays a part in
There's a
their
part in there. Oh,
in,
that's
in their world. So you'd have Danishes.
yes, Danish is definitely all very, very interesting. That was really interesting. I'm sure a lot of my listeners don't know that much about Greenland, just like me. So that was all really interesting to find that out. So you're coming back on next week, right? And we're going to talk about the rest of the trip from in the northern light to Provence. Was that it?
A Northern
We're
Light,
going to talk about Provence, right? Next week. That's
which will be
great.
fun. I mean, it's a contrast in culture, really.
Yes. Yes,
But
I love
I really loved Greenland. I loved the people, and I loved the scenery. Was just it was so beautiful.
I can just imagine. It sounds unbelievable. Really, really interesting. Very interesting. So, I know the paperback is coming out today. So before we're done, why don't you tell people where they can find the book? Is it just Amazon and
Yes, all your local bookstores and Amazon, it has it, or bookshop.com, and it is called A Northern Light in Provence. And yeah, very exciting. I'm very
very, very interesting. I love the contrast between Greenland and Provence. Really, really interesting. Great. So we're going to see you next week and talk more about a Northern Light in Provence. And do you have a website also?
Yes, thank you. It's Elizabeth Birkelund at it's elizabethbirkelund.com. So
Okay. We'll
yeah,
probably
yeah,
put that on the blog for the show also, the marialiberati.show.com. Great. All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to chat with you next week about Provence.
Thank you. Thank you. Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, our YouTube channel called The Maria Liberati Show, and let's see, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati on the Binge Networks. And you can also find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, on Amazon, on Kindle, on Barnes & Noble and barnesandnoble.com, and really anywhere that you can find books. And just a reminder, I will be doing a series of cooking programs for the Bucks County Community College in Newtown, Pennsylvania this summer. You can go to their website and look up the Continuing Education Department, and you'll find some programs there, some classes that I am doing. The first one is on Saturday, June 7th. Registration is limited, so check out the classes and hope to see you there if you are in the area. And I want to thank everyone that came out to the Cafe Gleaner at the Italian Market in Philadelphia, the Italian Market on 9th Street in Philadelphia this past week to support the artist John Donahue, who did a show, an art show, it benefited CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and he displayed his drawings there, and they were for sale. Actually, they are still for sale until the beginning of June. Many of the drawings are sold out. They're drawings of all the restaurants in Philadelphia, and many of them are signed by the artist himself. So check out if you can get down to the Cafe Gleaner. It's 907 9th Street in the Italian Market. Gives you a reason to get down to the Italian Market also, but who needs a reason? It's a great place to go to anyway. So check it out. And until next week, peace, love, and pasta.